What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord Dark Professor Dark Joker with this week's video. And this week, I'm going to go over the recent rumors regarding Kingdom Hearts ReLux, which is a rumored remake of the original Kingdom Hearts game. I'm going to go over, where I think it's factor fiction, and if true, what my predictions and opinions about this alleged remake would be. So, with all that being said, on with the video. Far as the rumor goes, so the rumor was given by a scooper named XDOS1, and another scooper named Nate the Hate claims the rumors to be false. So what the rumor is that a remake of Kingdom Hearts 2002 will be made by Toast, who are developers of Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion, with a release date of late 2026 or early 2027. With Kingdom Hearts 4 being released in late 2027. So that would mean potentially there'd be two Kingdom Hearts games released in 1 year. So this will have updated graphics. Now, it seems like a lot of the gameplay, like story, will be the same. So there'll be playable levels for Riku. Um, Jungle Book will be added as a world. So as far Jungle Book, it's something its history with Kingdom Hearts is interesting. So as far as why would it be used? So it would basically replace Deep Jungle due to Disney and Square Enix not having the right to use Tarzan. That's why Deep Jungle hasn't appeared in any game since the original. It's Honestly, I'm surprised it was allowed in the 1.5 HD remix. I'm surprised it was allowed in like the HD remixes. Like I am actually surprised about that. Like I guess because it was a remaster, it didn't count. So I guess legally they were able to get away with it. But I'm surprised it was Deep Jungle was still part of it. Anyway, basically, so Deep Jungle was possibly going to be used for Kingdom Hearts 1, but since you had Tarzan, it was basically like, do we really need two jungle plants? So I can understand. But it was for Seth Kearsley's Kingdom Hearts TV show that he was developing. It was going to be used in an episode called Man's Red Fire. Like, so basically, I think it was stated to one of the worlds, I guess, the storyboards that had been developed. You had Destiny Islands, Agrabah, and Jungle Book shown. Now, in the pilot that was, shown in a video like that, I don't know where it was initially posted, but basically, I think a video of the Agrabah portion of the pilot, like, of I guess with some, I don't know if it was just a proof of concept or it was going to be an actual episode. But basically, so we saw it. I was not a fan of it. Personally, I thought it kind of sucked. But Jungle Book was going to be a world use. Now, I don't know if it was going to be the only Disney movie not in the first game that was going to be shown. I don't know. Now, another principle, it was originally going to be used for Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. But like with Kingdom Hearts 1, it was scrapped. And there were some, I guess, developed like there was some mapping where it was developed. I think there was still some coding. So so they have like they've developed some assets for like Jungle Book. So it's not so I and they probably and so I don't know like what the status of that data is. Not my personally, I'm not concerned that Square Enix is concerned. Not mine. But like anyway, so basically it was scrapped for both Birth by Sleep and Kingdom Hearts 1. Now, why it was scrapped for Birth by Sleep, I honestly don't really know. I guess they wanted to use worlds that are more associated with the previous games than the completely new one, which makes some sense. And like so, and then there's supposed to be some new areas for Halloween Town and Traverse Town. So my guess is probably like I don't know if it would be like some of the districts shown in Dream Drop Distance would be used. I Yeah, I because obviously in Drone Distance Sora says, "Oh, I've never been this part before." Okay, you may contradict that. So, but I think, but explain the area, that's fine. And Halloween Town, probably some of the areas that were in two that were not one, maybe shown. Who knows? Or maybe the inside of Jack's house. Who knows? But and allegedly, Kate Sith appears. Now, regards to like what's fact or fiction. So, Square Enix has made multiple remakes in recent years, with Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy being the most famous ones. Of course, you had a bunch of remasters for like think like Final Fantasy VIII. I think nine had a remaster. Um, and then you had all the Dragon Quest ones that have been done recently. And as far as Kingdom Hearts goes, I mean, yeah, you had the Final Mix, remakes, whatever. And like so and so a remake, Square Enix knows that they can make a lot of money off of it, and if it's done the way that Crisis Core Reunion's done, yeah, it could actually be relatively low budget for a game and could do very well in financially if they do it right. Now, as far as do I think it's true, I have my doubts. Like I don't know with all the re-releases and with so basically is like okay, having two Kingdom Hearts games releasing the same year. So 2027, having basically one game releasing beginning of the year, another game releasing the end of the year. I feel like that would be some people would probably be confused. Like it's not like let's say with Final Fantasy, where Final Fantasy is basically an anthology series for the most part. So like it is different with Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest because a lot of those are more anthology based for the most part. You have some continuity between some games, but mostly relatively anthology, so they can get away with that. Same with like Mario. So like Nintendo with like Mario, Kirby, Zelda. They can release multiple Mario games of the year and be fine. One because it's Mario, two because they're relatively anthology. But I feel like if you have two Kingdom Hearts games, which those games are very much connected, if you had two games releasing same year, a lot of normies, like if they want to try to get the normie audience, which I don't know how many normies are going to be into Kingdom Hearts. I mean, really, honestly, if you want to get normies into Kingdom Hearts, you should make a TV show. That's honestly the way to do it. A faithful TV show, not some bullcrap adaptation like some video games have gotten. But yeah, so if you want to get the normie audience, two games this same year, I do not think is going to be a good idea. Now, maybe if they could have success, hindsight's 2020. If they do it and it's successful, that's and if they do it right, a remake right, then good for them. Now for my predictions and opinions about if this rumor happens to be true. Now for the predictions of this remake, if it happens, so big things that I think chests will be able to be opened during combat. Like that was the thing you could not do in the original game or in the final mix version, but in later games, starting with two, you could open them during combat. And so I think that will carry over into this remake. And I think so. We saw that the rumor was that Halloween Town and Town will have new areas. I think all the worlds will have new areas. I think we'll all be expanded, and I think more locals will be visible in all of them. So famously in Kingdom Hearts 2 in Agrabah, Aladdin says he goes into this town in order to into the city in order to see all the people and all that. And when you see them going over the world, there's like no one there. And so then you have, in Chain Marys, Aladdin says, all I see are heartless, like, basically because there's no one around. So I think there'll actually be locals in all those areas in the worlds. Like, we'll see more people. Like it won't just be a bunch of heartless around. We'll see more people, and it will be there'll be a lot more people there, and like which could be interesting. Like you could like it could be interesting. Like that could potentially lead to more side quests. Cause more side quests for some of the worlds, like and have some world specific side quests. That could be interesting, and like and so if done right, and like potentially involve like some of the more stuff from the movies more, and like that could be interesting. And so, and as far as Jungle Book goes, I think the plot of that world will use plot points from Man's Red Fire and the Scrat Birth by Sleep levels. So, and yeah, and I think it will be placed around where Deep Jungle was placed in one. So, right after, Wonderland and Olympus Coliseum, I think it will be placed around there. Like, I think that's how it'll be handled, like, where to place the story. And, and for the Riku stuff, if this happens, I think the unseen exploits in Wonderland, Olympus Coliseum, Halloween Town, and Atlantica will be shown. So in Chain of Memories, all the world cards he gets before Twilight Town are worlds from his memory. And Wonderland, Olympus Coliseum, Halloween Town, Atlantica were amongst them. And Zexion explicitly says that all he had been, during the Death Love, that Riku had been to multiple worlds from his memories. So I think in the Riku sections, we would see those exploits. So, what they are, could get to that in a little bit. But we'll see some of the stuff he did, more background behind some stuff and what we have seen. And yeah, so and I think with dialogue options being more of a thing in video games today, I think both Japanese and English will be available. So we'll get both subbed and dubbed. You know, which I'm a fan of that because unfortunately like they're not. I think it was like maybe like the PC versions they add dialogue options, but in the console, dialogue options were not added to the games. But I think with them being added, that could be a big thing. And I think text box dialogue scenes will be replaced with full audio. Like so basically the full audio, so we'll see like full animations, actual audio. So and also even like if you just press talk like to talk to someone, I think we'll hear full audio with that. So you won't see the text boxes anymore. It'll be actual audio. So more in line with how Kingdom Hearts 3 does, like did it, and I think like during like just traveling around, I think we'll hear audio like from where it's from the locals, where it's from the characters, and I think the difficulty of the game will be lowered compared to the original. So yeah, so difficulty, options are more thing, and like games are not as difficult as they used to be back in the day. So I think they'll make the game will be made easier. Especially with the Clayton stealth sneak fight, not being in it. When you don't have cure, the difficulty be lower at that point. And I think Maleficent, Ansem, Ursula will all be made easier. I don't. I don't know if they would make Zemnis or Sephiroth easier. And I think the final mix scenes without audio, so a lot of those I think will have audio recorded. So with the Zemnis stuff, I think Zemnis's voice will actually be heard. And I think and when Riku hears Mickey's voice, I think Mickey's voice will be heard there. Now in the dive to the heart scene, the Sora getting the Kingdom Key scene, and at the final door before going to that destroyed version, Tessianos. I don't know if Mickey's voice will be heard there because so in the Japanese version, so it is confirmed that like the voice that Sora hears during the dive to the heart section, is Mickey, And it's probably what he hears. I think when he gets the Kingdom Key, and like when he is at the final door, that's supposed to be Mickey. The English voice, it's silent. Now the reason is because basically, if gamers heard Mickey's voice, it would be sport. Oh, that's Mickey. In Japan, I mean, look, Mickey's English voice is very well known. His Japanese voice, not really as much. So it wasn't as big of a sport with Japan as it is with the English voice. Now, with the game being relatively well known, maybe they would consider play Mickey's voice in, and and especially since and also one reason is that they didn't have much faith in Disney, not much faith in Kingdom Hearts because back then they didn't really care about video games. I mean, they still don't for a large portion of it. So they didn't want Mickey to be extremely prominent in the game because if the original one failed, they didn't want Mickey associated with it too much. So it's possible more like some of that will be shown. And as far as Kate Sith will either be in Traverse Town, Hall Bash, or Olympus Coliseum, or multiple of those. So of course, you have Reeve, Shinra employee who controls the robot cat Kate Sith in Final Fantasy VII. So Traverse Town's obviously because multiple Final Fantasy characters have lived there. Hall Bash, since a lot of them are from there, and one possibility could be that you know Reeve is in Traverse Town and controlling Kate Sith with all the way from Charlestown. If Kate Sith is like in Hall Bastion or in the Olympus Coliseum, like maybe Hall of Bastion, maybe Kate Sith is just a recon is used for recon purposes, and like either let's say Riku comes across Kate Sith, or like Sora, Donald, and Goofy come across Kate Sith for like for whatever reason, like whatever the story explanation would be. So it'd be interesting. Let's see how that goes. Now, especially if they add more cups or matches to the Olympus Coliseum, Kate Sith could be an opponent. And another thing I think will end up happening if this remake gets made is that gummy ship gameplay will improve. Like the gummy ship gameplay in Kingdom Hearts 1, it is the worst of the ones involving the gummy ship. Now, I would argue it's better than Birth by Sleep's Keyblade vehicle gameplay, like from Deep Space. That the game the whole like Keyblade vehicle thing. That is not done that is not done very well in Birth by Sleep. That is like the worst part of Birth by Sleep. And like so, I think the gummy ship. I could see it being more in line with threes. Now, two, in my opinion, has the best gummy ship gameplay. Well, two is the best overall. I mean, that's just a fact. I think I do not think it'll be like Kingdom Hearts 2 level. I do not think that. I think it could be more like 3 where you have the free travel, you'll go into different worlds. Now, how the warp gummy gets involved? Well, with the warp gummy, my guess would be that how it could work is so if you have instead of having to go to one world and go to the next, you have when you leave like Jungle Book World or Deep Jungle, like, which would be around where I guess Deep Jungle is. Um, I think like you could just fly straight to Traverse Town, and like for Wonderland, you could just fly straight to Olympus Coliseum, and so yeah, so and all that, so I think it could be like I think it could be more in line with threes. Like maybe have some like the challenges, the bosses, like little bosses, whatever. You can make it interesting. And like far as the warp gummy is concerned, when the warp gummy gets involved, so I guess how that could work is that instead of having to fly, like you could just warp, like you could like use a warp gummy to warp straight to to a world. Like basically, like because the warp gummy allowed, so the gummy should just warp straight there. Then you had the portals. So like that, you could still have that in there and add that gameplay option, and it could be done very well. And you have base some of the obstacles off of one's obstacles for gummy ship and all, and like what you had, and something similar to like three. Like, I mean, this remake could be done very well if done right. And so yeah, this could be interesting. I think like, and hopefully if they do it, it's more like how Crisis like Crisis Core Reunion was done. I hopefully it's not done poorly if it happens. Now for my opinions about this remake if it happens. So as far as Riku levels, so for some of the plot points, I think you could have him, at either, Destiny Island, Hall Bastion, where gaining solely from Ansem or Maleficent. So in Recoded, you had one of those quote secret scenes that showed like hidden memories of those worlds whenever, Sora unlocked the keyhole. So for Destiny Islands, you had Sora on one of the pieces coming across Ansem. That could be when he gets Soul Eater, and maybe he just ends up on Hull Bastion right after it. Or like when he's training with Maleficent, he could get it from Maleficent or from Ansem. Like during the whole now, I would lean more into the whole Ansem part of it because Ansem's trying to control Riku, and so him giving Riku the Soul Eater sword would actually make sense. Like from a narrative standpoint, it actually makes more sense for you know, and also if you look at the sword, like it's this on like the hilt where it looks similar to like the little orb in the middle kind of looks similar to the gazing eye, Xehanort's Keyblade, so it actually does make sense for it to be from Ansem. And with Ansem trying to control Riku, it just adds a more thing, like a bigger thing. And it's because Maleficent gave Riku the power to control Heartless. But Riku getting the Soul Eater from Ansem, that could be a big thing and that could intrigue Maleficent. Like if like Heartless are attacking Riku and Riku uses a Soul Eater to beat them and Maleficent recruits him. That could be an interesting plot point. And but there's a way you could explain Maleficent giving it to Riku. Now Olympus Coliseum, I think how it'd be what makes it be him trained under Hades. I mean, look, it's Olympus Coliseum. It makes sense that'd be where a lot of training would happen. And with the underworld, due to it how it underworld works, the whole as Hades puts, it turns heroes into zeros. So like it would like inhibit Riku's powers. So him fighting Heartless and potentially some other enemies down there with that like with that restraint would actually help him train, kind of like in Dragon Ball, where Goku would wear like weighted clothing to help train, and then once he took it off, he was like his power level increased. Vegeta, did that with the him and Vegeta both did that with the gravity training, and of course Rock Lee and Naruto. So like having that restraint, then when Riku is fighting outside of the underworld, maybe when he tests himself out against some Heartless in Thebes or like in the Colosseum, he could, basically show a lot more power, like powerful. Like he was already more powerful in Sora, but and then it makes like it shows like how powerful he is. like especially using the power of darkness. And so in Wonderland, one possibility, I think Riku will fight a Trick Master due to, chain of memories. I think um another one plot point could be him hunting the Chester Cat. So now why? So basically Maleficent would order him to. So in the manga adaptation of Kingdom Hearts, there is a plot point of apparent like the Chester Cat was offered a spot in Maleficent's group, and the Chester Cat refused. And that's explained some dialogue. Basically, so Deep Jungle was not used in the manga version of Wonderland, so the whole like scene at the end of Deep Jungle in on Bastion involving, Maleficent, Jafar, and you know, base with basically with that whole conversation um in the manga it's like one of them saying how they should have killed the Chester Cat for refusing the offer, so maybe Riku could be hunting a Chester Cat and you can have a little comedic chase, you know so the basically Chester Cat being hit how he work how his power his abilities work, it makes him very elusive, so Riku could probably have a hard time chasing him, and like Chestercat would be giving some hints regarding like the darkness inside of him, and like basically Chestercat would escape, and in Halloween Town, maybe he could be the one to tell Jack Skellington and Dr. Finkelstein to use the Heartless, and for Halloween maybe like as a potential and since the because the question would be how did Jack and the Doctor know how to call them Heartless? Maybe Riku's the one who gives them the name, who tells them that's what they're called. And that, the idea to use them and like basically you could see like, there was an experiment involving them that failed before Sword Doll Goofy got there. And so, yeah, I mean, you could show some of it, give some more background. And then you got Riku being the one to make the shadow globs that turn Oogie Boogie into a giant. Like, so basically, it's like when Oogie turns to giant, like basically, we don't know how the globs got there. We don't know. It's never explained. Riku being the one to do it would actually like that would add something. So basically, like okay, that's how he got there. Riku did use his powers to make him. As far as and in Atlantica, maybe he could observe Ariel to see if she's a Princess of Heart, kind of like what happened with Wendy. So Wendy was partially cap. One of the reasons Wendy was captured was to see if she was a Princess of Heart. Riku saying that according to Maleficent, she isn't, and so basically he wants her off the ship. Hook, basically, doesn't want that to happen because obviously she's bait for Peter Pan, and so and yeah, so it could make sense. And then Agrabah. So in Kingdom Hearts 1, we see him grab we see like you hear like a footstep or something. Jasmine looks and she's like taken. And that's it. We don't see anything that happens after that. We don't see so one part could be Riku fights Genie. So let's say Riku grabs so while like so Sword, Donald, Goofy, and Jafar and Aladdin are fighting Jafar. And basically you could have Genie's like, hey, what are you doing? And like Genie, who's basically, all three wishes are done, so he's kind of, off the hook. He could like fight Riku. And so Riku would win or like, whether he would like actually be able to damage Genie or if he would just like be able to like avoid attacks enough to where he could grab Jasmine and escape. Now, another opinion I have is that a Chicken Little world should be added. Why? To explain how Sora can summon him in Kingdom Hearts 2. Because Merlin's description to summon charms is that Sora can summon friends. We don't know why he could summon. Then why the heck is Chicken Little there? Like, I mean, look, production wise, it was done to promote the movie. Like the movie, like it was to help promote. Like the movie was like either had recently been released or was about to be released. So it kind of does a promotion thing, and I think that's also and obviously Lilo and Stitch. I think you had the some of the sequels and spell stuff. That's kind of why Stitch was used as well. So with a Chicken Little world added in could explain how Sora could summon him in Kingdom Hearts 2, and just be another extra world, which would be interesting. So, and I think some songs from Final Fantasy games and Disney films could be added. So, like during you could have like some of the Final Fantasy 7 music or Final Fantasy 8 music or 10. Well, 10 mostly will only apply to Tias or Waka. Like, cause yeah, Leon, Selphie are from 8. Uh, and Yuffie, Aerith, Sid, and Clown Sephiroth are from 7. And so yeah, you could add some music from those games to it. Maybe to some scenes involving them, or whatever. And yeah, and as far as Disney movies, well, you could have like some Disney songs, playing like whether it's like let's say, hmm, like well, so another so yeah, so I mean it could be like let's say in the hub area, let's say on the gummy ship, you can you have selection songs like some games you can choose songs. And then like or like in some worlds like there's some scenes you can have like some songs playing like you have whole new world, friend like me, you could or you can maybe add some of the music scenes in the game like bring in a whole musical sequence in there like basically make the game a musical. There's a way you could that could be interesting if done right. And speaking of music, that reminds one. So another opinion I have is that um I think the gummy ship should what the is a gummy. So I brought the gummy ship. I think like being able to explore the gummy ship would be a cool thing because we only see the cockpit. We don't see anything else. Um, like we don't see anything else. So we don't see any rooms, and so yeah, that could potentially lead to extra scenes being shown in the gummy ship. Like you could have like okay, we see the cockpit. Well, where clearly that's not where they sleep. So there's probably rooms below. So like you could have like I don't know, maybe a training room, maybe a like a break room where music from Final Fantasy from Disney could play, and like you could make it turn the gunship into like a hub area, and that could be freaking cool. And also areas where you could talk to Donald Goofy, Jiminy, and the summon characters. That could be interesting. And like yeah, so and as far as some Heartless, so I think the original and final mix designs for the Heartless in Kingdom Hearts 1 should be used, as well as some of the Heartless shown in the flashbacks in 358 over 2 days. So in 350 over 2 days, there was some Heartless. I think it recalls like in it was like for like I think it was like specifically in Wonderland. There was like a flashback, like in what Roxas have Sora flashback that showed it was like Possessor Heartless, even though Possessor Heartless didn't appear till Kingdom Hearts 2. So it's like okay, that's interesting. And I think like some of the ones that we added in Chain of Memories could be added in. So like because some ones that appear in Chain of Memories were not in one for those worlds, so they could be added and explained. Oh yeah, that's why Sora saw them in the memories. And big thing is that okay, Square Enix should, if this remake happens, Enix should specify which version is canon. Like, which one's canon? Like, is it the original 2002 version? Is it Final Mix? Is it this remake? Like, it should be specified. Now, if they specify this one's canon, and basically they just don't change anything, just basically they just add a few scenes, and basically find a way to explain to deal with the deep jungle issue. If they're able to deal with that, like, there's a way to deal with it. So I'd be, but they should specify which one's canon. Kind of like, with Chain of Memories, they specified that Chain of Memories was canon. With Coded, they specified that Recoded was canon. Like, they specifically specified that, and that's what they do. They say specify which one's canon. And that's it. Do y'all like this video? Do you dislike this video? Do you do you think that these rumors about Relux are true, or do you think they're not true? Like, do you think it's plausible, not plausible? Do you agree with my predictions about what would happen if the rumors are true? And do you agree with my opinions about what should happen if they're true? Whether you agree, you disagree, like this video, dislike this video, you can put all that in the comments, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Look forward to the next video.